Alrighty, so this is the color wheel worksheet activity that we did in class. We are going to download the image that is in the assignment. So in order to do that, you need to right click and then click Save As, and then you can just save it as the name that it pops up or the name of the activity. This is, again, the color wheel worksheet. So I'm going to find where that is. Once I get Photoshop opened, I am going to select Open, and I am going to select wherever I opened or saved that to. And you should see something like this. Okay? So we've got a few parts that we've got to fill out here. So the first thing first is, what is color? Color is produced when light hits an object, okay? So if it were completely dark in here, we would see we would see nothing. But little glimpses of light will start to reveal color, and that is just light bouncing off of that object, okay? So with your type tool, we are going to select somewhere and just make sure that you have a standard readable font. We're going to just have it at a regular size. 12 to 14 is fine. So color is produced when light bounces off of an object. And it's okay if it doesn't fit all on one. And you can click and you can move it. It's totally fine. And it says, give an example of color. So if we think of standard colors, red, blue, yellow, orange, purple, green, those are examples of color. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get back on here, and to start a new line of text, I'm going to hit enter. An example of color is red. Okay, now I have my settings off a little bit, so if you have your settings off, just kind of change it. I'm in the characters panel right now, and in another activity we're actually going to talk about letting and tracking, so if you need to experiment with those, that's totally fine, but know that we're going to go into those with more detail later. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to color in our primary colors. Okay, I'm going to make sure my background layer is selected still. And over in our swatches panel, we will actually have a file or a group that is called pure. And these are what they are going to consider pure colors. There's a few of them that I disagree with, but I will let you know as we go through this tutorial. Okay? I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select my paint bucket tool. You can activate your paint bucket tool by hitting G on your keyboard. If it doesn't work, that's totally fine, or if you're not finding your paint bucket tool, you might have to go up to Edit and Toolbar, and you just need to see if there's any extra tools over here that you're not seeing in your main toolbar. You just click and drag to where they would be. So you just got to match up what their hotkey is and put them in that group. So I have all of mine activated, and I'm going to click done. Okay, so primary colors. Primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. They make this kind of like triangle on the color wheel. Okay, so I'm going to go to my pure group and I'm just going to select pure red. And I agree with this one. This one's pretty pure. And then I'm going to go to pure yellow. And then blue kind of gets a little bit hairy here. So we've got pure blue and pure cyan blue. So we're just going to go with what they say pure blue is. And I would agree with this, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually color these same colors in over here in the color wheel. So if you need to zoom in, you can actually zoom in. You can fill in these white spaces that didn't get colored. Okay, red. And we've got yellow. Uh-oh. I'm running into a problem. Okay, so this line is not connected. So we need to make a line, and we need to make sure that it connects so that we have two separate things so we don't have our color bleeding into over here. So I'm going to go down to where it says it's probably your rectangle tool. I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to go down to the line tool. Up here we have different properties of what that line is, and the stroke is is what the line basically is. So we have a 1 point stroke, so that's probably fine. We are going to click and drag, and that should create a black line. Now the thing is, we've got to go to our layers. This is not connected yet. So if I were to go to my background layer, and if I were going to try to paint this again, it's not connected all the way. We have one more step. We need to select our line layer, and then we need to hold down Shift and then select the background layer. This selects both of those, and we are going to right click and go to merge layers. And now we have all of that line merged together. So now when I click on yellow, it won't bleed over into the yellow-orange section, okay? So if we run into that again, which I will tell you, we will fix it, okay? So we're gonna go to blue, and as you can see, we have the same thing that happens, okay? So this is a straight line. We're gonna select our line tool. All of our properties are great. And we are going to hold down Shift, click, and drag. And what this does is it actually makes a straight line, okay? And we can move it over just a little bit. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be fine. Then we're going to go to our layers panel. We're going to click down on line. Then we're going to shift click on the background layer, and we're going to right click and go to merge layers. And now it should be one entity where that won't get colored. We might have one other discrepancy that we'll worry about, but we'll keep going. All right, so now we have our secondary colors. We're gonna hop around here, okay? So if you have gone to kindergarten, first grade, or whatever, hopefully at some point in your educational career, you have mixed with colors in some sort of art class. If you haven't and you're new, that's totally fine. This is a judgment-free zone. So we're gonna go over the colors that make green. So every secondary color is made out of two primary colors. We actually get all of our colors that exist in the entire world from our primary colors. It's pretty cool. So, what makes green? Yellow and blue. So I'm going to color one of these blue, and I'm going to pick up yellow, and I'm going to color those. Now, I'm going to go back to my shape tool, and I'm going to select the rectangle, and I'm going to just draw a rectangle under there. Up in the properties, there's this thing called fill. Well, right now it doesn't have a fill, so it's kind of see-through. If we click on that and we go down to pure, we will actually find a green color. Now, I agree with this pure green color, so we're going to select it, okay? So that just shows that we have what these two colors mixed together equal, okay? So even if I were to do some sort of, I'll just show you we'll show you on the color wheel. Nope, actually I'll show you right here. Sorry, I didn't go over this in class, but let's say I created this one and I did blue, and I created another one and I made it yellow, and let's just say I overlap, and I'm going to go to my layers panel, and there's this thing called opacity. If I were to select the yellow one and brought down the opacity to, let's say, 50% or even lower, you would see that where they intersect, it is green, okay? So that color mixed with that, you can see that it's green, but you don't need to do that. That's just an example just to show you that color mixing concept, okay? Okay, so orange, we have, now this says pure red orange over here. I don't believe this is red orange. I believe that this is orange. So we're gonna, we're actually making orange. So the two colors that make orange are yellow, and I'm not on the right layer, so I need to get on the right layer. Yellow and red, okay? I'll go back to our rectangle, and I'm going to fill it with orange, okay? So again, it said pure red orange, but I disagree. I think that that's more orange than red orange, okay? Now violet. Violet is just purple. I'll be done soon. Okay.
In the next class, I'll come back.
Okay. So violet is just purple. So what we're gonna do is the two colors that make purple are red, not bad, and let's make sure we're on the background layer, red and blue. We're gonna go to our shape, make a shape. Now purple is another one that is a little iffy, so this one's pure violet, so we'll go with the one that says pure violet. That is not an iffy color. I think it's some of the other colors that get iffy. So you should have something that looks like this setup with these rectangles, okay? So we're gonna go through and we are going to fill in our secondary colors, okay? Secondary colors are just a mix of the primary colors that they're in between, okay? So violet, we are going to select our background and our paint bucket tool, and I'm going to color, oh, not that color. We're going to go to pure violet and color that in. And again, you can just select the white areas that didn't get colored. Green is another one, so color in green and orange. Uh-oh, we have another line that needs fixed. So again, we're going to go to line. We're going to draw one right there, go to our layers panel, select align, shift select background, right click and go to merge layers, and that should be good. Okay, then I should be able to color orange with no problems. Okay, alrighty, now tertiary colors. Tertiary colors are the mix between primary and secondary colors. So all of these colors that are in between on either side of the secondary colors, those are tertiary colors. Another name for these colors are intermediate colors, okay? So I'm going to use my text tool. I'm going to change my default colors back to black and white. I'll click down. Tertiary colors are colors that are in between primary and secondary colors. An example is yellow, green. Okay, and again, if you need to reposition, you just select your move tool and move it around until it fits. Alrighty, so we're going to work on these complementary colors. Blue violet is going to be a mixture of blue and violet. So what we're going to do, we're going to select our paint bucket tool, and up here we're going to actually drop the opacity to about 50%. Okay, I'm going to make sure that I'm on my background, and I'm going to do blue first. Okay, and as you can see, because of the opacity, it is just a smidgen lighter than the blue. With that same opacity, I'm going to choose violet, and I'm going to color over that, okay? So it's kind of there. It's not all the way, so I'm going to go back over with blue. You can see how it turns out. And I can go back over with violet. Okay, I would say that that's probably a truer version. So I just went at 50% opacity. I started with blue, then I went to violet, and then just to change the saturation a little bit, I went another round of blue at 50% and another round of violet at 50%. Okay, so we're going to do that with blue-green. So the first color we start with is blue. And then the next color that we do is green. And I actually like this version, so we're not going to go as many layers of that as we did with blue-violet. Okay, yellow-green, we're going to start out with yellow. Now you're probably wondering, well, Miss Katie, why are we doing this if there's already yellow-green available? This is to get your mind in the concept of mixing colors. So if we were doing this with actual paints, it would blow your mind a little bit more than what we are able to do digitally. So I'm just trying to mimic, if we had paints, what that process would look like and how those colors would mix. Okay, so I'm just trying to get your mind in that direction. Okay, so yellow orange, I'm going to start with yellow. And then I'm going to go over with orange. And again, I think that that's a pretty decent yellow orange, so I'm not going to change the saturation so much by doing more layers. Red orange, we're going to start with red first. Okay, and then I'm going to go over with orange. Now again, I'm going to probably go over again with red and maybe another layer of orange. And we'll probably keep it at just red, orange, red. So that's a little bit better of a red-orange than what they have, for sure. And then red-violet, we start with red, and then we choose violet. Okay, and if I want a little bit more red to it, I just do that, which I feel like is more of a red-violet than what they have, and what came out with just the 2 layered colors. So I did on that one, I did red, violet, red at the 50% opacity. And you should have a color wheel that looks like this. So complementary colors are colors that are directly across from each other on the color wheel. So an example would be blue, green, and red, orange, or red and green, okay? Complementary colors are colors that are directly across from each other on the color wheel. Examples are red and green. Now I need to I'm going to change my color. I forgot to change. Okay. And I need to move that over so we can see. All right. Analogous colors are 3 neighboring colors on the color wheel. So an example would be red, violet, violet, and blue, violet, or violet, blue, violet, and blue. Okay, so they neighbor each other. So 3 colors that neighbor each other on the color wheel. Example is blue, green, green, and yellow, green. Okay. All right. Warm colors. Warm colors. Basically, 1/2 of the color wheel is going to exhibit the warm colors, and cool colors are going to be on the other half, okay? So warm colors are going to have anything red, orange, and yellow in them. Cool colors are going to have a mixture of violet and blue and green, okay? So for those, we're going to make sure we're on our background layer, and you can choose warm colors. Oh, I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to change to 100% opacity, and you just choose what you feel like are warm colors, and they can be in the pastels as well, so even a light pink is going to be more warm than cool. Okay, and then cool colors, let's say all right, there's that. All right, last part is our monochromatic scale. Okay, so we are going to, we will create basically a gradient, which is going to show the different values of one color. Okay, so value is a measure of light to dark, and monochromatic are different shades, tints, and tones of one color, okay? A color scheme that shows different shades, tints, and tones of one color, okay? And we're going to actually work on making that in this rectangle over here. Now what we need to do is we need to go to our rectangle shape tool, and we are going to draw a rectangle. And right now there's nothing super special about this rectangle, but we're going to go up to fill, and we are going to select this box that kind of has that dark to light look. And that is going to put a gradient in here. Now we're going to do different levels of that gradient. So right now I'm going to select this very first color stop, and I'm actually going to make this a darker purple. Now you can go and you can do green, yellow, red, whatever, as long as you have a pretty dark version of this color, okay? Now I'm going to click on the next area right here, okay, and it's going to default to white. I'm going to double click on it, and I am going to go to a lighter version. Still going to be kind of dark, but I'm going to go to a lighter version of that purple. And I'm going to click somewhere in the middle. I'm going to double click on that color stop, and I'm going to go to a little bit lighter. Okay, this is going to be more of like a mid-tone. Okay, and I can move these sliders around just to kind of establish different spacings. Okay, and then I'm going to add a color stop right here. And I'm going to go just a smidge lighter. Okay. And then I'm going to click on this, double click on this last one. And unfortunately, I'm not really in where I was, so I just kind of have to guesstimate. And I'm going to go with a lighter. Okay. And as you can see, I have this nice, beautiful gradient. And really, the amount of color stops that you have is dependent on you, but we're just doing 5 from a darker scale to a lighter scale, okay? And if you, right now we're just doing a linear. If you want to switch this, we can actually go, if we do 0 in here, it's going to do from dark to light. But if I did 180, it's going to do light to dark, okay? So either way that you want to do it, it's just going to flip, or you could hit this and it will flip for you as well, okay? Alrighty, so you should have something that looks like this. You need to save it as a PDF, so you can go to File, Save As, and then select Photoshop PDF. Click that, or you can File, Export, Quick Export as a PNG, or export as a JPEG, okay? Either way, as long as it gets turned in, you will get your points. And that is how we did our color wheel worksheet tutorial. We'll see ya.